So this is our evaluation. And what we're going to do is we're going to take it here. Here's our target properties. The property at Old Tunnel Road is the one that I own out in Aledo. We purchased it in 2013. And in 2014, we rented it out. And so the first renter wasn't all that great. The second renter was there almost going on 4 years now. So he was really great. The first renter wasn't even in there a month. One of the things when I did the background check of him is he had a complete great background check. As far as we do two different kinds of background checks. One's a criminal background check, and the other one is a financial background check. So he actually had a credit score of 800. And that's why he's leaving now. He's leaving me as a tenant is because he's gotten his own, he's purchased his own house. He actually purchased it the first of this month, and he's getting ready to move out, or he's in the process of moving out, but he hasn't really given me his final notice yet. And I'm giving him a little leeway because I'm so busy right now. I just don't need to worry about it so much. But he hasn't really set a final date. And I says, as long as he pays me for the month, I'll just prorate it when he's ready to go. I haven't heard from him yet. I'm hoping he'll give me a few days head notice. Maybe I'll ask for a 7-day notice in case he goes into next month too, which is fine with me. If he's paying me even a daily rate, I'm making money, right? Mm-hmm. So that's fine with me. And I wouldn't do this for anyone that hadn't been a good tenant. I mean, this was a no headache tenant. He's kept the place clean. The amount of cleanup and stuff I'll have to do to get things going before I rent it again will be minimal. We can go out to the property and take a look at it. We can do the final walkthrough so you can see what a final walkthrough is like. We can go through and do the open houses, or you have an open house where people can come in and take a look at it and apply to rent it. And then we can do the final walkthrough before they take possession of the home for actually renting it. So those are all good, practical, real life exercises we can go through. The other house is the one right next to the property we just bought. Is 3330 Family Drive. It's an older mobile home. I don't know how old it is. It's not in too bad of a shape. I don't know what she was renting it for last, maybe $700 or so. And it's at 3330 Family Drive. Has a backyard and a front yard. Fenced backyard, which is nice if you got kids. And it's in the, I think it's in the school district is a really good, one of the good school districts, they say. I think it's called, I think it's the Eagle Mountain Saginaw, or is it North? I can't remember which ISD it is, but it's supposed to be one of the better ones. Anytime you get out of the Dallas ISD, and maybe even in some forms, maybe even like the Arlington ISD or Fort Worth ISD, these other ones on the outskirts are normally well known just because you're getting out of the city environment. So people are a little bit more behaved and more neighborly and the likes. The one in Aledo is in an RV, as a mobile home, and it's in a mobile home park. The mobile home park is the only one in Aledo. And in Aledo, there's such there's huge population growth. And I think the town is, I can't remember. I think the town's only maybe 1,000 in the town of the actual city of Aledo, but the school population is like 4,000. Wow. Because of all the outskirt lying country area that's unincorporated, right? Mm-hmm. And they've won, I guess they've won state championships in football, and they've got new high schools and junior high, got fairly new schools because of all the tax base they've brought in, and they've it's a highly desired area to live. And so if your average home is in the $300,000 range, and even renting, you're looking at 12, 13, 14, $2,000 a month, then renting a mobile home in a nice park that's a family that you can get your kids into a good school is very desirable. And the rent I was charging was $825. We started at $795 and it's raised to $825. And we'll find out what the going rents are for those as we go into them. And then the purchase is the 3280 Family Drive one, and we'll take a look at evaluating the purchase. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, and here's the resources we'll use. For rentals, we'll use the Rentometer. Actually, for the rentals, we'll use those prices as well for both the rental and the purchase, because you want to know what your rentals are going to go for when you go to purchase, that the rentals can cover your expenses. Cozy is a tool that I use for rent collection and actually putting a property up for rent. TAD is the Tarrant I can't remember, appraisal district, Tarrant County Appraisal District. So Tarrant Appraisal District, and that tells you what the property is worth as far as the tax value goes. And then for the actual taxes that are being when you're calculating your expenses, the actual taxes, a lot of times you can find them on Zillow and Trillia. Zillow bought Trillia, and so they're basically the same in a lot of ways, but they have different. I get different search results. I don't know why, but I get different search results. So we're going to look at also my spreadsheet resources, and I'm going to go ahead and save that one for later. But let's go back here. I'll go back here, and we're going to go through these. So let me change sharing, new share, and I'm going to share. We're going to go to Rentometer first. So where's why am I not seeing it? Bear with me here. Huh. Why am I not seeing? Hold on a sec. I'm not seeing my web browser for whatever reason. So let me go to advanced. Okay. All right. Hold on a sec here. I'm just going to go to this screen here for now, and I'll share it and see what happens. Okay. So you don't need to see my count. Let's do this. Don't need to see.
I'm seeing it. Oh,
so many things, calendars and task lists, and those the evaluation sheet. Oh, here we go. So here it is. We're going to go to Rentometer first, and you don't need to see that stuff that's in the way. I'll move this up here. Okay, so here's Rentometer, and I've already looked up some of these prices to see where we're at. So there's two versions of Rentometer. There's Rentometer and Rentometer Pro. And obviously there's different features in it. On regular Rentometer, you cannot adjust these lower items here called maximum age, search radius, building type, and branding. You can also not, neighborhood and zip code don't work in this thing. But what you can do, it's a place to find out if you're paying too much or too little for rent. And it's used for people looking for rent. So it's kind of a simple little tool to use for that. But as a landlord, I can go in here and I'm going to select the property we're going to evaluate, the 3330 property. And I already had typed it up beforehand. Actually, let me type my old address. So I thought it came up. Yep. So see how it comes up, Grand Drive. See, it comes up with the address. So as you type it, it's searching through the database of addresses, and you can find the one that matches, and it'll know where you're looking. So that's just kind of example of, when you're typing addresses. So the one we want is 3330. I think they were charging $700. They might have been charging $725, but we're going to start with $700 a month. It happens to be a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, but this only goes by bedroom. So we're going to go 3-bedroom for this one. Now here's the controls. By default, it does 12 months, but I can go further out. I want to see all the properties in the area in the last 12 months of that size and what they rented for. So these are all 3-bedroom homes in the last 12 months. I'm going to tell it where I want it to search, how far out from this location, and what building type it is, and the branding I'll explain later. So I'm going to go 12 months because anything, prices change so much. Last 12 months is good. I'll stick with 12 months. It does an audio radius, but I'm going to go out 10 miles. So this is everything within 10 miles. The building type, and here's the tricky part. The building type, if it was a house or a duplex, I'd select that. If it was an apartment or complex or condo, or apartment or condo, I would select that. However, this is a mobile home, and it's not quite what you would normally get for a house price, but normally it's better than what you would pay. You get more for your buck, I think, getting a mobile home on a piece of land than you do scrunched up into apartment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And actually, we can use this tool. You're renting now where you're living, Eddie, I'm guessing?
No.
Oh, you
No.
own that. Oh, okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you ever wanted to rent it out, we could always see what the rentals would be like for it, and rentals in your area. So this is a tool you can go and check that out later. And then the branding. So I'm going to do all on this one. And branding is I can actually change it to my company. It's called Crown Gate Properties. This is my property management company. So that when I do a report, the report won't say Rentometer. It'll say this is a report from Crown Gate Properties. All right. So we're going to go ahead and analyze the address. And as you can see from the results, you can see my 700 where it shows, wow, that's a really good price because it's almost twice as much as what the average rents are in that area for 10 miles. The median rent is where I think that's where you throw out the high and the low is 1,500. 80% of it is between 975 and 1798. So 975 would be even on the bottom end of that, right? And 60% range is from 1113 to 1685.
Wow.
Now,
really low.
Yeah.
We're having.
So, and here's the deal though. Here's the radius that we're doing it. So this is 10 miles. So this would be anybody in this 10-mile radius. What you're seeing here is whatever you see in green is something lower than the median price, and something in the red is actually something higher. So this one they're renting for 2,500. This one they're renting for 2,210, but the green ones are pretty low. This is 800, and you can zoom in too if you wanted to and reposition. So 1,000. So even if I did 975, I'd be below everybody else that's offering a 3-bedroom. But if you really want to take a look at it, down here is the full report. So here the distance from your location, the rent, the size, how many square feet, and this is something to consider too. Maybe a mobile home doesn't have as much square footage. So that would be, hold on a sec, let me do, where's my notes? Where'd my notes go? Here it is. Here's my notepad here. So that's not how you spell maintenance. There you go. Love spell check. So now I'm sorry, I just side noted myself for something. What was I going to do? Oh, square footage. Okay, so one of the things we're going to look at is square footage. So that's one of the things we want to find out when we go do the evaluation. We're going to look at rent rolls, deferred maintenance, and square footage, so we can do a better comparison with these numbers we're seeing here. All right. Some of these you can get full property reports on, the ones that you see in green. Oh, actually, yeah, I guess most of these you can. So you can get full property reports. So we can do that as well. What I'm going to do, I think 10 miles is a little big, only because when I'm looking at this, okay, so see where this little star mark is? That's where our house, that's our target house. So everybody in this area, everybody on this side is kind of way out of range. So I'm going to change this mileage down to 5 miles and let's see what happens to this. We'll analyze the property again. And see, the price also goes down. So there's a lot of those that were in there. That's actually more realistic. And you see all the ones in this all the ones near Hazlitt here.
Mm-hmm.
So this is our competition. Everything in this area here. I don't know why that's that's 900. So going back to our numbers again, 950 is what we're looking at rather than 975 now. And this one here is really low. This is the 900. So they've actually probably that's the one on the really low end. So you want to find out what your competition is, what the actually if you hover over it, I think if you click on it, here you go. It actually tells you the address. So currently, this was last seen in May. So this was I went 12 months. So this last May, it was for rent for 900. All right. That kind of gives you an idea too. And this is the listing. That was the map showing you where it's located. I'm satisfied with that. Now I'm looking at these. I can sort by anything from distance to address, the number of bedrooms to the housing type. See, we've got apartments and stuff. Let's sort by apartment. So we got apartments and condos and then houses. So apartments and condos are going for 1,300. We sort on the rent parts. We got 900, 950. We have, this is a 3-bedroom, 1-bath. The one that we're looking at is 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So that's kind of low. So we're looking about on the low end of things because this is a mobile home. So let's look at these two that are here. That's a report it's going to generate. Can you see the report?
I'm seeing it right now.
Okay, good. So you see 350, 2 bedrooms. It gives you square footage. Okay, our square footage is probably going to be less, so that's going to be kind of a negative. It might lower the price. I'm thinking right now, I'm guessing about 925 it'd be about right. I'm going to go back and look at that 900 one again and see what it looks like. So you see street view of it. It pulls Google Street View up. You can actually print this up. So here's a report on this property. So if you're doing, about comparables, comps. Comps is where you compare two different things. You're comparing two different properties. So we want to you want to get as close as you can to like items, and then the pluses and minuses are added or subtracted from the price. And it goes for the rent as well as for the price for purchasing. So say 2 houses are exactly the same square footage, but one has a 3-car garage versus a 2-car garage. The 3-car garage would be worth more than the 2-car garage. Maybe the 2-car garage though has a much larger backyard. So that would be a big plus for some people because they have a family. They may want more back room. They may be a gardener, who knows what. Number of bedrooms, bathrooms, the age of the house. Maybe one was built more recent than the other. So that would be a plus on the side of one, or maybe one's built, back in the 60s. So that would be a minus. So that'd mean more maintenance to do. You kind of get the idea how you compare the two. And then you kind of see which one's where. So I'm adjusting the price about 925 is what I'm thinking now. So we can take a look at it again later. So here's the $900 one. So I'm looking between 950 and 9. See, it doesn't give the square footage. And this is where you got to be real careful because this is what some people do. Okay, so that's an actual house then. So, and here's what I can do. I can kind of do this too. I've done this a lot of times. I do a Google search. And I can zoom into the property here. I can kind of take a look at, it's pretty spacious there as far as the area. And there's the property. So you want to see things like, okay, farmland's okay. It means it's normally quieter unless you don't like goats and chickens and cows and all. But look, there's a nice house there. You can tell they've got a swimming pool. It looks pretty nice. So let's go to Street View. Yeah. So now there's no garage. There's just this empty lot, no real lawn to it. Kind of zoom back and look. Kind of a shed-like deal. This picture, though, was taken in September of 2013, so it's over 5 years old. So who knows what this place looks like now? Hold on a sec here. Waiting for my screen to refresh. Here we go. And I'm looking, I guess this is as far as we can go down the road. Oh, no, it's just because of the internet. There we go. There's my arrow. Can I arrow this way any? Probably not. They probably turned around at this piece of the road. Here's your neighbors. Oh, that's probably why. It's because this road continues on to someone's driveway, and that one goes into someone's driveway. So it's basically like a cul-de-sac. Should be pretty quiet. $900 with no idea of what kind of square footage there is. Actually, you want to see a trick? I'll show you something you may not know of. I'll give you here's a little tool goes measure distance. So I'm going to go here, here, here. I do this a lot when I'm looking to looking at the size of the property. Now I can't zoom in as close on this. Yeah, see, I can't zoom in on close as this as I can. Okay, so see where it says total area here? This gives you the square footage. So it's 1,100 square feet.
Wow, that is so cool.
So you know it's about 1,100 square feet. Give you an idea. If I take here's another piece of thing. Let's clear this here. Clear measurements. This is kind of hard to see. Some of these areas don't do this. Let me go. City of Newark. Oh, this is up in Newark. Oh, okay. I know where I'm at then. So let's go back down here. Here's our property down here. So here's our 32. This is the property we're looking at purchasing here, right? So you can see the property lines on this map, right? Where you couldn't on the other. So say I wanted to know the square footage of this. I do measure distance. And I want to know how many acres that is. So you see down here, it says 59,000 square feet, right?
Right.
Here's a trick. Highlight it, right click, go search, and change this to acres, and that's 1.3 acres. So here's some tips you can do if you're using acreages and stuff like that, or you want to find how big of a lot size there is. Ways of doing things really quick and easy. So it gives you an idea. Oops, let's clear that. Clear measurement. While we're here, we'll just look at this real quick. Let that load up. So this property we're looking at, you see the outline of where it's located. This is the one for sale. It has a mobile home here and a mobile home back here, and not much of anything else. And we'll come back to this one later. So there's our property, 900. It's probably equivalent to a mobile home. The square footage isn't listed. Someone put square feet in the square foot section when they were filling it out. But it is an actual home. It was built 1900. They said it was built. I don't know about that. I think somebody doesn't know. Actually, there's a way to tell, but I'm not going to do that for this one right now. We'll go back into that later. There are public records about when things are built. So anyway, that's that property. So that was our 900 property. So I'm guessing, and I have a feel for 925 it'd be about the price that we're going to evaluate this property for, right? As a rental. Okay, now this one we're just renting. So so we're going to put here, let's go back to our notes here. So for our 3320, we're going to give it a 925 rental price. Okay. Now I'm guessing that I'm going to go 3280, and I'm going to keep the same criteria. And I went 925 on that one. I'm going to do 900 for this just to be closer. I do not know what size those mobile homes are, but I'm going to assume they're 2-bedroom, 2-bath minimum. Don't know the square footage. So I'm going to run another analysis off of that. By the way, oh, wow, not enough results. So let's go ahead and let's go 10 miles out. Let's see. There we go. So we had to go 10 miles out to get. So all of these are over 5 miles away for 2 bedrooms, 2 baths. And actually one's a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. And another one, 2-bedroom, 1 bath. So it's going for 13. It's an apartment going for 13. So would you rather live in a house or apartment? Depends on what kind of apartment this is. You know, what kind of amenities they've got. Do they have a gym? Do they have a pool? You know, that adds, you're going to pay more for those types of things when you're looking at apartments. And actually, look, if you notice too, there's only 2 houses. Let's look at the prices here real quick. Let's sort by rent. So the houses are the least expensive. Let's look at this one. This is $650 a month. Let's look at this one here. Really? So that's the competition, built in 2003. So that's $650 a month, 1,500 square feet. That doesn't sound right. That looks bigger than that. I wouldn't think that would be a 1,500 square foot home. Man, I got tickled today. But you also see, oh, it's right around a bunch of apartment buildings and stuff too as well. So you scroll out, kind of get an average. You can kind of take a look here. Fossil Creek. See, it's near a liquor store. That might be a plus or a minus depending on who you are. So, gas station, Sonic. You know, this is right on. I don't know what this would look like. So let's go take a look at this. This is how I do evaluations. I go take a look at the property. I want to take, like we did before, let's take a closer look at this. Oh, this is a residential area then. It just didn't look like it was much in a residential area before. Oh, I know where this place is, Harmon Road. You scroll out, 287. Okay, I know where we're at here. This isn't too far away. So let's go ahead, satellite view. And because I'm broadcasting on the webinar, it might get a little slow loading up. I'll go, here we go, go back. Here it is. So here's the house here. Wow, it is a small house compared to the other ones. It's got a bigger backyard. Oh, look at the junk in the backyard. You probably tell it's a rental, right? No pride of ownership. You're going to hear that a lot in. So this is last August. So this is a pretty recent picture. So yeah, it looks, although things have changed, you know, you'd have to take a look at it. But I can kind of say, yeah, someone might really like living in a neighborhood like this. This might not be too bad. I can see that. But that's a good price. 600.
Yeah.
So
yeah. For that type of
that's going to be a hard price to beat. 650. I wonder about that. See, the taxes are $5,000. Wait a sec. Let's do some math here. If I'm making $650 a month times 12 months, that's a total of $7,800 a month. And just taxes expenses, because you know you got to pay the mortgage on it. If you subtract 5,746 for taxes, that means you only have $2,000 a year divided by 12. Means that's only $171 a month you're making from that. If you're paying your mortgages, unless you've got that thing paid off free and clear, you know, which I doubt, that's just ridiculous. You know, that means somebody might have been having a hard time selling it, just be renting it just for enough to make the payment, but not the tax bill. People do silly things sometimes. So actually, here's something else we'll do. I've done this before. This was listed in January. So let's see. Just take a look at Zillow. It sold for $159 in 16. Estimated, see, the estimated mortgage is $654. Normally they tell you too what the estimated rental would be for it. I've got a business account. That's why it keeps asking me if in here it asks me if this is my rental. You may or may not get this. Here's your tax history here. So it was listed. See, when your listing price is this low, this is a lease amount. This is probably what the true price is. I think someone keyed it in wrong. 1610 sounds about right. That's about what it should rent. So you're going to throw out the ugly, you're going to throw out the one that's not relevant, right? I would throw that one out. So we're looking at probably, let's look at this one real quick. Now this is an Azle. So the only thing I don't like about Azle on this side of the, it's totally on the other side of the lake. So most people aren't going to travel that far. So I'm going to throw out Azle. So we're looking at, oh, here's another one, Hammond Road. So that's real close to the other one, and see, it's 905. So I'm thinking 905 is about right. Let's look at this property report real quick. Wow, doesn't even show a house. Oh, wait a sec. Backtrack. That's an apartment. It's a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath apartment. So here we get, you'd have to get into apartment to do that. So I think 900 a month is about right. And you notice these are the same places, both January. So this is the same. Oh, these are two different. One's a 2.5 baths and one's a 1.5 baths. This is the same apartment complex back in January. So 905 would be about right. I might even go 910. 915. Let's go 9 because there's a big gap between these two. Let's do 915. So this one I do 33. Yep, 3280. Actually, let's just make it an even 900 just to be on the conservative side. So we make sure there's a difference when you're doing it. You want to be real conservative in your numbers when you're doing these evaluations because you want to have room for error. So we'll put it up for rent for 925. Maybe we'll end up getting 900, right?
Mm-hmm.
This one's already owned by the lady I'm going to be doing it for, so that doesn't matter. We can just lower that. That's later. She's going to pay us a management fee for that one. So I'm looking at 900. So this is the purchase one now. So let's go take a look. Well, let's go take a look at first. So let's do this. I'm going to go and let's go to Cozy. Oh, let's do the property search first. Just because it's here. So I'm going to do 3280. Family Drive. We got it selected for residential. And I don't want to look for personal property. That's a whole nother subject about property. And just look for this. This is what the Tarrant Appraisal District, that's what TAD stands for. Couldn't remember exactly. So here it is here. Tells you who owns it. Donna's the lady I'm working with. She wants to sell it. Here's what the county says the market value is. It's not really the market value. It's the appraised value that they put taxes on. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at this. No, I just saw another tool I hadn't seen in this before. So it shows the property, where it's located. Here's the property data. Here's what, when you see jurisdictions, these are who's going to tax you. This is tax information. This is the appraisal for county taxes. They're going to tax you for the county. Northwest ISD. That was the other ISD I was talking about. So it's in Northwest ISD. So you're going to get taxed because the people going to those schools, going to that school district, and they're going to get taxed, pay for that taxes. They're going to get Tarrant County Hospital. They're going to get taxed for Tarrant County College because that's a resource, and the Emergency Services District 1. So those are the 5 taxes that they're going to be paying on their tax. tells you that it's 1.4 acres. The approximate size, which this is really off. It might be if you add up both. There's 2 mobile homes on it. By the way, one thing you'll notice, I'm going to go back and click here. When you see this, my neighbor who has the rental actually has 2 listings here. If the mobile home is tied to the land, then you're going to have the land and the mobile home as one listing and the additional mobile home on it as a second listing. We know she has 2 mobile homes on it, but we're only seeing 1 listing, so that she's not paying taxes on one of the units. After you purchase a property, an appraisal is done by the county, and if they find another mobile home on there, they're likely to charge you more for the taxes. So just be advised, our taxes went up. Our taxes when we purchased the property, just the land, went from $600 a year to $1,200 a year. They doubled. So something to be aware of, that when you're planning the purchase and your numbers with any kind of property, commercial property, rental property, even your own home property. If you're buying a home, those are some things to consider as well. So we're going to take a look at this real quick. Go back to this. Here's the values. So they're putting, the improvement is the home itself that's on it. So they're putting $16,000, the value of the mobile home that's on there. The land is worth $58,800, and this is the total market value. The total appraised, and she's missing an opportunity here. She could probably get this lowered so she's not paying taxes for $74,000. So that's something I can talk to her about. We can actually lower the taxes, lower the expenses. And I have a strategy in mind for this property already where we can buy it. I would not pay $6,000 for the 2 mobile homes that are on there, I don't think. But that's to be determined when we go out and do our on-site inspection. So she told me she was thinking $75,000 is what she wanted to sell it for. And $75,000 might not be bad. So that's how I would evaluate that. Now, is it worth that? Let's go and figure that out. We're going to go to, let me go to Cozy. Let me show you all the websites first. Here's Cozy. Cozy is free to landlords. So that means you don't pay anything for this. What it does, it allows you to market your rentals, choose the right tenants. So they do credit scores and background checks. They do all that through their site. You basically set up your site, your property to be rented through Cozy. They do all the background stuff. You have the potential tenants pay for it. And then what you do is that you also collect rent. So you can collect rent through the application. So your tenants would go into Cozy and make their payments. If they get on auto payment, it doesn't cost them anything. So say the rent's $800, they set up auto payment, takes it out of their checking account every month, they pull $800 out. And then 3 to 5 days later, I don't remember exactly how long it is later, that money shows up in your bank account. There's some caveats to all this. I'll show you how they actually make money doing this. Because how do they do this? They're not, charging anything. Tenants can also pay their rent with a credit card, but there's a 3% fee on top of that they'd have to pay. And staying organized just means they can actually put things in. I got a leaky faucet. I've got this or that, so they can track maintenance expenses and communicate with the tenant through this portal. Basically, it becomes a tenant landlord portal. Dr. Blackner uses it. She loves it, and I couldn't get my tenant to use it, but I'm going to require my new tenants to use it. It's a requirement that they be able to do it this way. So anyway, here's my portal. Here's my 148 Old Tunnel Road. No, not collecting rent through Cozy for it. And I have no interactive listing. So I haven't actually listed it yet, not till I know that they're gone, because I don't know what the availability is. You can see the payments here, no incoming payments. I can do collections. I haven't done the listings. Here's where you can market it, accept applications, screen applicants, share your listings anywhere. Just all kinds of stuff. Set rent price. Now their rent price, you can actually set a rent price through them, and I think it's an additional fee, but I'm already paying for the pro version of Rentometer. So I might compare the prices. Pricing, hold on a sec, let's go back. Pricing for Cozy is free. Rust Estimator is $20. So you're paying $20 when I'm paying $30 to be able to evaluate a lot with Rentometer, but I do it when I'm doing my real estate investment evaluations. You'll see where these numbers come in later. We're building upon these pieces. Here's your screening section. You're screening your tenants, finding out, we don't want anyone that's child molesters. We don't want anyone with criminal backgrounds. There's different things you can screen out. You want someone that doesn't have if someone's got a low credit score because they're not paying the rent, guess what? I don't want to mess with them. The current renters, I think, that are in that property we're looking at 3280, I think they're not paying their rent. And when she finally got one of them out of there, she found out the whole interior was torn up. They trashed the place. So kind of give you an idea as a reason why she wants to get rid of it.
Wow.
Here's maintenance. You can start tracking maintenance requests. If I had one in there, expenses, you can track your expenses. Paid services. Here's the rent estimator and express payouts. I'm going to talk about express payouts here, and this is how this company makes money, because I used to work for a mortgage company that did what they called bi-monthly payments. So every 2 weeks they'd take a payment out, and twice a year they'd make one extra payment, so you'd pay down your mortgage faster. You weren't making a mortgage payment every month. You're making 2 or 3 a month. Every 2 weeks you're making a payment. My personal opinion, if you're getting paid weekly, it's a great program. If you're getting paid monthly and you hit that 3-month period, or that 3 payment month period, which you're going to hit twice a year, then you're going to, you pay 2 half payments extra. You pay extra on your mortgage, you're going to pay it down faster. Well, if you hit that, a lot of people would call up and cancel because they didn't have the money for that extra payment. The bi-monthly program, to me, works best if you get paid on a weekly basis, or you get paid a weekly or bi-weekly basis if you don't get it paid on a monthly basis. That's just my personal opinion. But what they would do is that money that they were saving up to make that extra payment, they were putting it in a bank account, and it was in the millions of dollars. I can't remember how many million. I think it was tens of millions of dollars. I was managing this account. And all that time, we were taking money from the people in advance of making their payments. So they would give us 2 payments in March for us to make their April payment. Well, the first week in March, they'd take a payment out. And the second week in March, they'd take a payment out, and it'd go into our bank account, and it would gain interest. And then in April, we would make the payment. Well, you think about all these accounts they're managing, there was millions of dollars in there making interest. And you figure, how much, I think 10 to $16 million, I think, was what most of us saw. And this is how Cozy has so many people on the backside that are doing this, that they're holding on to that rent money that they've gained from the renters, and they're taking, I don't know what it is exactly. I have to go back and look at the terms on it, but it's like 3 to 5 days. Here it is. Here it says right here, 3 days instead of 5. So they'll hold on to it for 5 days. So if they're pulling ACH, should be if they're taking it directly from the checking account versus a credit card, then you'll get your money in 3 days rather than 5, but you're paying $2.99 in order to get it 2 days earlier. So $3 to get it 2 days earlier. If you really need the cash, that'd be fine. Either way, during that period of time that they've got the rent, they're making interest off of it. And when you're talking about the millions of dollars that they handle as a company, they're making money. That's how they make their money, is by holding on to the rent money, because they take it out on the 1st and they don't pay you till the 5th. So that's 5 days they're making interest off millions of dollars. So a little bit of background of how they're making money, how they're able to provide these services is they're making money that way, providing these services. And it's working as a win-win as far as I'm concerned. Doesn't hurt me to wait 5 days. And you don't have any invoices. So anyway, those are the features of Cozy. So what I would do when my tenant gets actually ready to move out and I sign, I'll go ahead and take this option. I'll do listings for it, and I'll create a listing for this to find qualified tenants. When we go back to properties, I'll create a new property when I sign the agreement, property management agreement with my neighbor to manage her property. Then I'll go ahead and I'll create a single family home. I'll put the address in, I'll do all this, and I'll create a second property. And then we'll advertise. I think this actually goes out and advertises it too. So these show up out on the internet as potential. It's another way of marketing the properties to get them rented. The sooner you get it rented, the sooner you have money coming in and not having expenses going out for your property. In this case, as a property manager, it's not costing me anything. But to do, what's the term, for integrity's sake, I want to treat it as if I own the place, because I want to get it rented as quickly as possible. And I want to get it rented by the best people as possible, so that I have a good long tenant in there that doesn't tear up the property on my customer. And I don't have the headaches of having to do maintenance and everything else, or schedule maintenance, or handle all the other property management skills that are necessary. So I want to get it rent, just like my last renter out at 148 Old Tunnel Road is, I went out there once a year. We signed a new lease. It was a done deal, taken care of. All right. So that's Cozy. So I've covered, and we saw how Zillow worked. I'll kind of show you, but let me do one more thing with Zillow. Oops, let me go back to, do I have Zillow in here? Here's Zillow. So I'm going to go to, here's the property we're going to evaluate this property for purchase first, which is really interesting. Zillow says it's worth $318,000, and we just saw the tax record said $75,000, right? This is way off. It also says it has 2,700 square feet, but it's a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. So that leads me to believe maybe there's only one of the mobile homes on there is only a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. So that's going to change all our numbers. Remember, we went from a 3-bedroom to a 2-bedroom, how it went from $1,400 down to $1,100. This is going to have a big effect on that as well. So we'd have to go back and redo this evaluation, but we kind of want to know what we're getting into before we start. I go down to, here's the tax history. Oops, tax history. Here we go. Tax history. 2018, they paid $507 for taxes, which is probably underestimated. I might actually double this just because I know what happened to us. Well, that's interesting. So tax assessed value went from $31,000 to $74,000 in a year. Yet something must have gone on here, because the value doubled, but the property taxes went down, which I was really surprised. Went down 26%, but went up 136% in value. Something's going on there, and I have no idea what. It could be Texas, I think, has laws concerning senior citizens. This could be something where they get a discount. I've seen the tax records actually show that. On the other property, I actually saw that happen on my next door neighbor's property, but I didn't see it on this property when we were in there earlier looking at the TAD tax records. So, but let's just for grins and giggles, we're going to figure that's going to change. So we're going to double that just for our calculations. So this is my preliminary real estate evaluation spreadsheet. This is my this is how I figure out if something's worth buying. So I go in here. We know that there's 2 units. There's 2 mobile homes in there. So we've got 2 units. We're going to average the rentals in there at $900 because one's $920. I think, yeah, I think we're $900. I'm guessing the vacancy might be kind of high on that one. I'm going to go, you never go less than 5%, by the way. That's an industry rule. You never have a 0%. And a lot of people say, my place is full. It has 0% vacancy. Well, that's not true. There's always a time when vacancy, minimum 5%. I'm going to go 15 on this just to be very conservative. Taxes. Here's where we're just looking at taxes. I'm going to go $1,000 for taxes. Insurance, a year. I don't know what that's going to run. I'm going to guess about 2,000. I might be off on that. Oops, 2,000. And then I'm going to guess other expenses could cost 500 a unit, maybe not. So we'll figure $1,000 a year. And so my expenses per month is $333.33. You see this, the price. She said 75 because that's what the tax value is. We might be able to get it for 75. Maybe by the time we pay commissions and taxes and everything else. Let's go 85,000 just to be safe. I'll throw an extra 1,000 in there. Maybe someone, one of our relatives will say, hey, that's worth 318,000, which we know it's not just because they saw it on Zillow. Zillow is not right. So here's what we've got. And here's the blue section of my spreadsheet are the pieces I enter. First of all, I entered a down payment percentage of 25%, an annual interest rate of 10%, which is high. All these are high. Remember, I'm putting a lot of money down. I have an annual interest rate of 10%, which is high. The duration here, I'm going to change this duration to 360. So that's a full 30-year amortization. And here's my numbers then. So I've got the expenses per month don't change. But here's my ROI. This is my key. This is what I base all my purchases off of, is on ROI. If you notice in the column, you'll see arrows up, arrows down, and arrows sideways. Here's where I set that. The winning ROI, which is an ROI I'm looking for, I want an ROI a minimum of 20%. If I change this for any reason, these arrows will all change. I've built this into the spreadsheet. So my winning ROI is 20%. So that means if it's 20%, it shows green arrow. I know that's a winner. That's a winner in my book. If it's 10%, that might be a maybe. If you see here the yellow, there's 14 here. Here's 11. That's awful close. That is, hold on, let's back up. So this is a 2-unit. Here's a 2-unit. It's 11% ROI. It's bringing in 190 monthly cash flow. That's less than $100 a unit. It's really kind of close there. I probably would not do that one just because it's so close. Here, let's see if something, yeah, here's another 11, another 11. So I'm just looking at this one. This one here's 14. Let's see if I can find something here. Here's a 16-1. Here's a 4-plex, 16% ROI, 900 and so that's at least $100 cash flow. That's actually pretty good cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
Cash flows too. Here it is. I didn't even realize I had a unit. 236 a unit. That's pretty good cash flow. All right. So that gives you an idea. Anything that's negative, you see the negative number in the percentage, or this is negative here. Actually, this is a perfect example here. This whole thing's negative. That means that in order to buy this thing, not only do I have to buy it, I have to continually put money into it. I'm not making any money off of it. That one there is a dead deal. That's a duplex. It's only bringing in 800 market rents, but they want 215,000 for it. Just the money just does not work. And I don't even have insurance or other expenses in here. So if I put this in and it fails, that's a fail to me. Let's go back to our subject property here. 2 units, 900. Let's say I'm really off on that. Let's say it's only 750. Let's just put 750 in here. Even at 750, I know I can get 750 for it. I'm making 21% ROI, return on investment. I am putting 25% into it though. That's pretty high, but that's just what it turns out to. Let's go through the rest of the columns here. Here's my cash flow per unit. I'll be making, or cash flow total, I'll be making 382. So it's 191 per unit. Remember, when I'm starting out, I want to have about 200. I want some extra hedge. This would be a perfect starter setup for somebody that has the money for the down payment and maybe can negotiate maybe there's other creative financing to get. Eddie, you could probably buy this one. I'll show you. Cap rate, a lot of financial funds and stuff need to know what the cap rate is. Cap rate's the difference between the expenses and the income. The expenses do not include the debt load. The debt load is your mortgage. So if I'm paying, my interest rate's 10% here, my cap rate's 13. That means I have my gain is 3.29% on the property. Kind of give you an idea for the cash flow side of it. Maximum vacancy. This is a new number that I've added to my spreadsheet that my business partner Eric just loves. This is the maximum. In fact, actually, if you look up, there's some comments in some of these. Let's see. Let's view comment. Let's edit the note. So this is, I don't know why this isn't showing up better. Maybe I just need to make it better. But this is the average monthly expenses. So if you look at the vacancy rates here, this is the maximum vacancies you can sustain and still pay the expenses and debt service. The higher the number it is, the better it is. So in the other case, this is a real important number to me. This tells me how much vacancy I can have and still make money. So here I can have a 40% vacancy. Well, that's not much on a 22 unit. So I'm going to be paying something out. I would need at least a 50% vacancy on a 2-unit deal, right? This is my annual cash flow. ACF is annual cash flow. So annually, I'd be making $4,500 a month off, or $4,500 a year off that one. That's not much, but it's nothing to sneeze at either. And if you're doing, well, let me just put this in here. Let's just do the other one real quick. I have a single unit, the one out at Alito. Let's do the Alito one. I'm looking at, we never did the Alito, did we? Let's go do Alito real quick. Let's do Alito right now. We'll change this all. Here's the Alito run. I've already got it in here. I'm looking at upping the rent by at least, it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath at 900. This is fine. So what I want to do is $900. I want to raise the rent from $825 to $900. Actually, I'd like to raise it to $925. I want to make extra $100 a month. So let's analyze this. Okay, so it's above the median, 730. I might be a little high on that one. 990 is the average. They're kind of spread out all over the place. So let me say I raise it to 900. I probably won't be in too bad a shape. I should be able to do 900. And I won't take a look at these. So let's go back to our spreadsheet and do that now. So it's 900, and I've been real successful on my vacancy rate. So people don't want to move out. My taxes, this is the fun thing. The taxes I pay for this is $135 a year. Explain that later, because I'm only paying taxes on the mobile home. I don't pay taxes on the mobile home, the land rent. So that's my other expenses. The insurance side, insurance is $1,000 a year, and I pay. They just raised it to 530 times 12 equals 6360. So 6360 is what I have to pay per year for lot rent. Here, give you an example. I paid, well, this shows you my cash flow right now. My cash flow is $230 a month. My annual is $2765 after expenses. I'm not paying anything because I already paid it, but I actually paid $12,000 for it. To give you an example, I'm now currently in an ROI of 60%. So not bad. So I make 101. I make 151. If I raise the rent $75, I make 151 a month, and that's after all expenses. All these expenses are paid, and afterwards I pocket 151 in my pocket a month, make an extra $2,000 a year. But you do this often enough, and you can make some good money. These are the break-even months, by the way, I've got in here. Give you an example. It would take me, if we bought that piece of property we were speaking of, for me to get my down payment back, it'd take me 55 months or 4.63 years. So that's not bad. Get all your money back, and then after that, it's just pure cash flow, right? It's pure money in your pocket. You're not paying a mortgage anymore. So what you're paying out for mortgage is gone. That's if you're turning all your cash flow. Well, excuse me. You're not even paying mortgage. Your tenant is. I'll have to go into. I'll make sure I get my numbers straight here. This means that the down payment you put into this property, the 25% of 85, 85,000 is going to be, you're going to get your down payment back in 4.5 years with having $4,000 come back. And your down payment, actually, if you go out to this, here's the rest of the calculations. Net operating income, down payment, loan amount. Down payment would be 21,000 on that one. So that piece of property, our subject property with the 2 mobile homes on it, is 31. Is that right? $21,000. Now remember, that's a quarter of the price. So you've paid a quarter down. And I put 25 because that's kind of the commercial rate. There are ways that you can get around that. There are ways to get around that. I can knock 10% off of that real easy if we do an owner holdback. It's not going to be real accurate, I know. But you're looking at 28 there. Because owner holdback just means you're splitting it up, but you might be able to do something at another tax rate, or excuse me, another mortgage rate. Taxes, mortgages. All right. So, and these are just some of the calculations that are done in the background, so I can break it up each. Oops, I don't know what I did there. I don't think I screwed anything up. I hope I didn't. Here's the gross rent schedule. This is the gross rent that you'd bring in per year. You'd be bringing $10,000 in. You subtract the vacancy amount, your vacancy rate, whatever your vacancy rate is for each one of these is set at 5% on this one. I think we set 15 on this. So we actually, you're making money on this. Here you go. even with the vacancy rate of 15% on this, you're still making 21% interest. If you correct that vacancy rate, if you drop 10% out of that, if we drop that down to 5, see, you're making more money. Think of it as having reserve to pay for the months when you don't have a occupancy. And this is your debt mortgage service monthly. That's what you're going to pay in a monthly mortgage rate. Give you an example. Here's the one for my property where I'm looking at putting 2 4-unit studio sets in there. I'd have 8 units, $800 a month because they're studios, 5% vacancy rate. We're looking at the price for the mortgage on the land. Cost me $120,000 to put it in there. We're looking at expenses of $1,765. We're looking at 101% ROI. That means each month I would be making $3,500. So you've gone from 1 unit, 2 units to 8 units. And this is where you make, could you live off $3,500 a month? Probably so. All right. Some other things on this sheet you may take a look at is I have an amortization table you can use. And you should know amortizations. And I have a real estate calculations. And this is how you can evaluate a single piece of property, not in a spreadsheet. Here I break down the names for you. Gross potential income is GPI. You'll hear people refer to it as GPI. GOI, gross operating income. NOI is a big one, net operating income or loss. Monthly mortgage debt service or DS, cap rate, capitalization rate. Cash on cash return or ROI. This is the piece I love the best. This is how I determine whether or not a property is even worth me taking a look at. And then I have my break-even points. How long? 5 years, months, 5 years or 60 months. And those are, and I've got other sheets in here that I'm working out different things. Where's my summary sheet? Oh, that's not it. That's the loan summary sheet. I'm working on that piece. But anyway, that's the sheet that I build up for the evaluation. So to purchase the property, it would be a winning property. It would be a great starting property. It may not make that much on ROI. It may only put $532 in your pocket each month. But tell me a stock you can buy that's going to return 30% ROI. I don't think you can find one out there. You know, even businesses, it's hard pressed to find a business where you can get 30% ROI and not putting any labor into it. The amount of labor that takes on this, when you figure this income here, for $6,386, you're probably looking at about, if you're doing things right, you're probably looking at about 10 hours a year. So not too bad. All right. So her property is worth purchasing, but can we make more money from it than what we've got here by tweaking some numbers? And remember, I'm going to put 15 back in here because right now that's kind of where it stands. You always buy a property based upon what it currently is doing. If she's currently, and I don't know what her rents are. Hold on a sec. That's a good question. Oh, the rent roll will tell you what the current rents are. I don't have an example of a rent roll I can show you. I have some that we use rent rolls all the time when we're evaluating commercial loans, but they're under confidentiality. I'll have to see if I can create one so you can see what one should look like. All right, so let me see what we've got next on the slides. Okay, so I went through the spreadsheet, and that's pretty much it. So that's what we're looking at. So we've got the rental, kind of going back to this. We know this is the rental, $925. Oh, you know what I didn't put in here? What did we figure out? 148 Old Tunnel Road. What did I figure? I was going to do 925 on that too. I think that's what it was. Is that right? Yeah, because I'm doing 825 now. It's going to raise it $100 a month. So I have my rents figured out. I know the types of things I'm going to look for when we go out on site. I'll cover master lease options as a alternative funding method later. And I'll cover the 5 ways you make money in real estate in a later edition.